well, we have Amy Farah Weiss for mayor.
Yeah, so I don't take this lightly, what I'm doing. When I decided that I was going to run for mayor back in December, the goal with that was that I couldn't just sit by on the sidelines when too much was at stake for the future of the city. And I had devoted the last 4 years of my life to the nonprofit that I started, Neighbors Developing Divisadero, which is focused on supporting inclusive, culturally enriching, and sustainable development in Divisadero neighborhood and with citywide policy as well. I got my start in local politics when a Chase Bank was making the move to displace 2 local businesses in my neighborhood. And I called up Matt Gonzalez actually and asked him, well, why is it that banks aren't being included in conditional formula retail law, where we're supposed to have a conditional use hearing to be able to say whether this is necessary or desirable? And he said it was supposed to include that because there was a catch-all. But we saw that the Lee administration and the planning department and the Board of Appeals were actually catering to Chase Bank after they caused the global financial collapse and impact even development in San Francisco, because you very much must know that Lennar was supposed to be developing 10,000 units starting in 2008. They were supposed to have financing, and then their financing fell through because of the global financial collapse. So these are the things that are all connected in that way, and that's why I was taking a stand and saying, well, why is this corporation being able to benefit in our neighborhood when they have a bank just 8 blocks away on one side and 12 blocks away on the other? And so, you know, I have a master's degree in organizational development and training, and I wanted to put that to use. I graduated in 2010, and so in 2011 when this came up, it was the first time I really got active in local politics, and I learned the code, the zoning code, and I realized that it was being broken, and I realized that as advocates for social justice and cultural enrichment in our neighborhoods, we actually have to work hard sometimes to protect what's already been established because the current administration isn't upholding it. And the same kind of thing that was going on in my neighborhood was happening on Mid-Market. Why were those properties being kept empty and blighted all those years? It's because the property owners were taking a loss and not renting out at what the market would bear, which to me is what the free market is. And then they get rewarded when this tax break comes, and they've held out for a while and not rented out at what the market will bear, and then they get to benefit from that. But you know, I got involved in Neighbors Developing Divisadero and local politics, like I said, because I didn't want to sit on the sidelines, and I was tired of being framed as a NIMBY by pushing back against things. And so in 2011, I started using the term Yinbi and saying, you know, just like George Lakoff does, we have to change the narrative and framing of this and say, we're actually talking about what we are fighting for, and we're going to be involved in implementing it. And that's what I do, you know. And the last 4 years, I'm not going to lie, it's been a struggle. I've been living on an average of $15,000 a year. A lot of people say it's not possible, but it is possible if you are scrappy and you live your values. I live with 7 other people in a co-op that is also in danger of being wiped out at any moment, and so we live in a little bit of fear in that way. But you know, I am really interested not in bashing Ed Lee, but to holding him accountable. And I want to replace him because I feel like he's not a leader, he's a follower. And I want to be the leader that San Francisco needs. I'm connecting with 2 other campaigns. We're doing a vote 1, 2, 3 to replace Ed Lee approach, because Ed Lee is not accountable to the people. He's not accountable to his own campaign promises. He's saying that eviction protection is going to be his main issue since January. I saw him talk about this in a State of the City address. He talks about it in his campaign speeches. And then I got to meet him 3 weeks ago, and I said, Mayor Lee, are you supporting Jane Kim's Eviction Protection Act, the Just Cause 2.0? And his response is a non-response, which we're all used to, right? And he says, did she finish writing that yet? And I said, she turned it into the Land Use Committee a week and a half ago. This isn't funny anymore, guys. Like, this just isn't funny. We actually have to be the leaders that we've been waiting for. I'm a collaborative person. I have a history of that. And I'm also a solution maker. You guys were talking about formula retail law and in-law units. I've been listening to people talk about this. I did a survey about it. And so what I was thinking was, you know, for in-law units, what if the city actually helped create an index where it was workers, like teachers and nurses, and to help actually help channel people into those. Maybe we could create some kind of midterm lease instead of a short-term lease too for the city, where it's a 3, 6, 9, or 12-month renewable lease for people who own their property and live in their home and have a backyard unit. And so maybe they could help out the person who's coming to intern at UCSF. Like, I come up with solutions to these issues. When I'm looking at Balboa Reservoir, I'm listening to everybody talk about how parking's an issue, CCSF, affordable housing. Edley's not being a leader on that. Dianne Feinstein tried to create housing there back in the 80s. He's not coming out and saying, this is a really turbulent issue. How can we use it to benefit CCSF and affordable housing? I have ideas for this, and they're strategic, and they're collaborative.
Thank you for your question.
I'm curious, is anyone here excited about the Bernie Sanders campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've been doing since December what Bernie is calling for at the national level. And, you know, I was talking about revolutionizing. I sent an email to Aaron Peskin back in December of last year and said, I want to revolutionize the 2015 mayor's race. I thought I would be supporting Tom Amiano or Mark Leno, because I thought someone more established would enter in, but they didn't. You know why? Because they think that politics is a blood sport and a money sport when it comes to the mayor's race. And I decided I'm not going to let that hold me back. I actually have to get in this, and if I wasn't in this race, I would be filled with anger and despair. But I get to channel all of that into co-creating solutions and being positive, which is what I want. That's how I'm revolutionizing this mayor's race. Yeah. Thank you. Vote 1, 2, 3 to replace Ed Lee, everyone.
Thank you very much.